Hey, this is Mrs. Davis. This is lesson 1.11, video 5. Hopefully this is the last video. So here we go. I would be remiss not to talk about the binomial coefficient. Remember when we had the n over 1 and n over 1, n over 0, n over 1. You can also write that in this format and figure it out that way. Okay, and so if we look at the first one, n over r, when you write it like that, is n factorial, okay, and over r factorial, n minus r factorial. Okay, so what that means, or it can be written like this, so it would be n CR. So this would look like 6C2. We're going to do some, and I'll show you how to do factorial. So if we have 6C2, it would be 6 factorial, that's n factorial, over 2 factorial, and then 6 minus 2 factorial. Now, what is 6 factorial? It is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now you have a factorial button on your calculator also. This would be 2 times 1 for 2 factorial. And this is 4 factorial, so that'd be times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now it's not really as hard as you'd think to figure this out because these would cross out. And so you're left with 30 over 2, so you get 15. All right, let's do 9, 4. It would be 9 factorial over 4 factorial, and then 9 minus 4 would be 5 factorial. So you would do 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5. And you can just leave it, instead of writing times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, just leave it 5 factorial because then you can cross that out. On the bottom, we have 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and then times 5 factorial. So those would cross out. Now let's do some quick crossing out. I have a 6, so I'm going to cross that out and cross my 3 and 2 out. And then I have a 8 and a 4, so I'm going to put a 2 here. So you really have 9 times 9 times 2, which is 18 times 7. So 18 times 7, the denominator went away, is 126. Now, this one is cool because it shows you what 3 factorial over 3 factorial. So this would be 3 factorial over 3 factorial, 0 factorial. And this would just be 1 over 0 factorial, and 0 factorial equals 1. So this answer would be 1. Okay. So now this can come in handy if someone just asks you for the coefficient of the term. Okay, and so we'll try it down there. But the first few examples here of us just practicing. So here's x plus 2 to the 5th. All right, so if you go back over and look at your triangle, a fifth one would be 1, 5, 10, 10, 5. So I'm going to get those coefficients from Pascal's triangle. So now I'm going to start with, I have x to the 5th plus a coefficient x to the 4th times 2 plus a coefficient x to the cube, x cubed times 2 squared plus a coefficient x squared times 2 cubed plus a coefficient x times 2 to the 4th plus a coefficient 2 to the 5th. And I put in my numbers 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. So I can say that it's equal to x to the 5th plus 10x to the 4th plus, this is 4, so 4 times 10 is 40, x cubed plus 8 times 10 would be 80 x squared plus 16 times 5, which is also 80x, plus 2 to the 5th, which is 32. So there I have my expansion of x plus 2 to the 5th using Pascal's triangle. Another example is 2x minus 1. Now this is good because it shows you a negative. And what happens is it just goes alternating positive and negative, positive and negative. So 4 was 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. So let's remember that. So I have now, and this also has a 2x instead of just an x. So you'll see how that's done. So I have a coefficient, and then I have 2x to the 4th. And then negative 1 to the 0, which is just 1, plus a coefficient, 2x quantity cubed times negative 1, plus a coefficient, 2x squared, and now I have negative 1 squared, plus a coefficient, 2x to the 1, and negative 1 cubed, plus a coefficient, negative 1 to the 4th. Now our Pascal's triangle was 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. All right, so now don't forget you have to raise the 2 to each power also. So 2 to the 4th is 16x to the 4th. Okay. Now, I have a 4 times a negative 1, so that's going to give me a negative instead of a positive. And I have, this would be 8x cubed, this right here. So you really have 32x cubed. All right, now moving on, it's going to be plus because I have a negative 1 squared, so that's going to be a 1. So that would be 6 times 4x squared, so that would be 24x squared. And then this is going to be negative 1, so that would be negative 8x. And then 1 to the 4th, that's a 1 there, so 1 to the 4th is 1, so plus 1. And there we have it. All right, moving on to the coefficient. This time it just asks once the term containing x to the 4th with the expression x plus 5 to the 6th when it's expanded. Okay, so you've got two ways to do this. If you look at 6, it's 1, 6, 15, 20, 15, 6, 1. So the first way is using Pascal's triangle, and then we'll use the factorial way. And I'll show you that they both work. So what's the coefficient of x to the 4th? All right, so at first you have to figure out what term that is. So it would be x to the 6th, x to the 5th, x to the 4th. So it's going to be the third term, right? Okay. Is that right? 6, 5, 4. Okay, and so then you have to remember that it is okay. So let's see. We have, this would be 1, 6, 15, x to the 4th, and then our b is 5, so this would have been 5 and this would have been 5 squared. So this is 25. Okay, so 5 times 25, or I'm sorry, 15 times 25 is 375. So 375 x to the 4th, but it just wants the coefficient. So 375 would be the coefficient. Now, I'm going to come down here and do this one using factorial, which can be faster. So we have 6, 4. So that would be 6 factorial over 4 factorial 2 factorial, which is 6 times 5 times 4 factorial over 4 factorial, and then 2 times 1. So that would be 15. That would be 30 over 2, so that's 15. So that gave us this 15 that was also given to us from Pascal's triangle. So that's how you could use that. Now, what's the coefficient of the cube term when you have 8? Okay, so we are going to, instead of having to write out the 8, okay, sorry, I got distracted for a second. So I'm back here looking at example 12, and we want the 8th term, and I'm going to use it. I'm not going to use Pascal's triangle. I'm going to figure out what it is without it. So first of all, though, I have to go 8 out. So I have x 8, x7, x6, x5, x4, x3. So I have to figure out my -3 each time. So this would be times a -3, -3 squared, -3 cubed, -3 to the 3rd, and -3 to the 4th. Okay, so I'm at this one. So I have 81, right? So I have 81. Did I do that right? -3, 3 squared, 3 cubed. Oh, I'm off one. This is 3 squared. This is 3 cubed. I can't read my writing. So this is 3 to the 4th. So this is 3 to the 5th. So we're going to get a negative number. Now I need my coefficient. 81 times 3 is 243. So we have 243 for this. So we have our n, which is 8, over r. Now r goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it follows your b term. So that would be 5. So you're looking at 8c5. So that's 8 factorial over 5 factorial, 3 factorial. So that's 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 factorial over 5 factorial, and then you have 3 times 2 times 1. So the 6 would go away, and you get 56. So you have 243 times 56, and it's negative 243, which I'll just tell you, if you use your calculator, negative 13,608, I believe. All right, that ends lesson 111.